Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is the 10 most dangerous monsters in Path of Exile. The number 1 slot of course goes to the Void Jaguar, which has been nerfed several times and for a long time was just by far the most deadly monster in Path of Exile. Whenever it was added with things like conversion, especially physical damage as extra chaos, but even physical damage as other elementals, this just insanely popped off, and its slam ability, which is just a little tiny jump, can very easily one-shot crazy characters. And when compared to any other monster in the game, it was far more dangerous. And even now, if you look up the monster on PWDB, it's got deals 60% more attack damage, then 60% more damage, and then 50% of physical damage converted to cold damage. And since so much of its initial hit is physical anything like add this extra is insane on this. This is found by doing the red Exarch altars and is a very common monster. And this is why if you're doing the red Exarch altars and you add something with like chaos conversion or physical as chaos, you really need to be chaos capped for that. The number 2 spot is actually a very old monster and what has killed me the most during all my hours in Path of Exile. Very old, has been in the game for super long, and it is of course the Revenant. So this is a monster that basically uses Detonate Dead, but it does so by summoning monsters, and then when you kill those monsters, they will have a red spire around them and deal a large amount of damage. Now, this is mainly so deadly just because of poor visual clarity in Path of Exile. A lot of the time you might kill those monsters from far away and not see the spires and walk on top of them maybe while looting. The number 3 are the Cannibals. These fire projectiles, and if these are added with lesser multiple projectiles or any amount of projectiles at all, they will do a crazy amount of shotgunning. They're one of the main reasons that I never roll maps or monsters fire 2 additional projectiles on maps to begin with, because they scale so insanely and we very often see players die to these in the gauntlet. Number 4 is Porcupine, basically the bane of new players, and thankfully these have a very good solution to avoiding. If you get a lot of evasion, these will do very little. Now, a reason for why armor isn't as good as them is that they are base physical damage. So if you get any sort of elemental damage at all, you will just be getting shredded. But even just a Jade Flask and 30k plus evasion will make them fairly trivial. Next up is the Baranite Thaumaturge, and this is a monster that only spawns in the Crusader. It's got several lightning abilities, including some sort of like wind up explosion on the ground that can be very easy to miss, which would do a large amount of damage. And since it's a little bit delayed, it can very often catch you off guard, especially while looting, and we've seen a large amount of streamers die to this. Next up is the Spark Mages, and these are the skeleton mages that throw spark, and it is incredibly important to get spell suppression pretty much just because of this reason. They are super deadly, and one of the things I really look out for. Very often in tight spaces and stuff, these can burst you down in less than a second. Next up is the Vaal Constructs, and these are dangerous because they come in large packs and fire a ton of projectiles at you, but also because they deal chaos damage, and there isn't that much chaos damage in the game. And you will find that if you don't have at least close to 0% chaos resist, they will really hurt. This is also a spell, so if you don't have spell suppression, they'll hurt even more. Next up is Harvest Beasts. Now, there are several here, but I will list them all under one just to get a few more in. So there is the, I think it's called the Bristol Matron. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it's the big bear. It has like a pretty slow wind-up slam, but it's very easy to underestimate, and it will absolutely one-shot a lot of characters. It does a crazy amount of damage, and pretty much each field has a dangerous one. So for the blue one, which will do like a sort of snipe attack, and they'll very often attack at the same time and can easily burst you down. So each field has a scary monster, and the yellow one is the Devourer. It will like pop up on top of you and leave a pineapple when it goes under. Generally, you want to pop your flasks and face tank it while killing it, because if it goes under, that pineapple, if it hits you, will do a large amount of damage. The Kitava Herald, another monster that gets severely affected by multiple projectiles, will fire out red projectiles at you, and they have a lot of AoE overlap. So if you're getting hit by multiple of them, they can easily kill you. It also has a slam where it jumps on top of you and dunks on you, and that can also one-shot you. Very dangerous monster, and you want to stay away. And the 10th is a very generic one, but Essence monsters. Essence monsters, while isn't really a monster type itself, is pretty much the most dangerous thing in Path of Exile. Sometimes, some of you might have had fights for 5 to 10 minutes with versus a regen monster where you maybe needed to go grab Frostbomb, but you weren't quite willing to leave the map. Very dangerous and one of the most underestimated things in Path of Exile, but probably not for long, as you will learn this very fast that they can both be incredibly tanky and incredibly high damage. That concludes our video of the 10 most dangerous monsters in Path of Exile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for the suggestion, and more importantly, try to die less than I do.